So this postpartum crisis didn't just break me down, like it broke me wide open. Like I felt cracked wide open. I felt ripped in half. And
That's what you always kept saying. You were cracked wide open. You felt cracked wide open.
I
You
felt
said that
cracked wide
over and
open. I
over.
felt like an egg that like the shell broke and like the yolk is it's oozing out. Like I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, welcome back to part 3. We're gonna really get into it, and again, mainly Sandy. Just there's a lot of intense
If you haven't
stuff.
listened to the last 2 episodes, I would listen to those.
You gotta listen in order. So we're gonna go through some heavy, intense stuff probably in this. Like not every single last detail, but just overall the flow.
Yeah, my stomach is turning, and this is really, really vulnerable to share. This is honestly probably the most vulnerable thing I've ever publicly recorded. This is where things become deeply spiritual and deeply dark, honestly, in a lot of ways. But yeah, just like quick disclaimer about mental health and spirituality being very personal experiences. So if you listen to this and you don't agree with it or whatever, it's like this isn't a battle. Like I'm just sharing what came through me. And yeah, like I want to go there.
So let's see, we ended off last time like, okay, we busted you out of the first psych ward. This whole time you're having like a spiritual awakening, which I know you want to cover on this. And then it gets even more intense. So basically now you're back home. We busted you out of the psych ward, but like we're like, whoa, home isn't the right place because you're in this
traumatized,
still not sleeping. Nights are crazy. Trauma, repressed memories surfacing at night, and we aren't sleeping. Sandy's sleeping maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours a night, and it's just compounding day after day, after week after week. At this point, month after month, and it's all like we're trying to handle and deal with it. Like, what do we do here? Like, what? Like, this cannot be. I can't handle it.
I was stuck in a loop, and it was easy if we would like meet with a psychiatrist, which we met with a lot, like, or what are they called, psychiatrists or psychologists? We met with them all.
Psychiatrists.
But if they would just meet me quick on like a Zoom or whatever, they're like, yeah, it might be multiple personalities, might be bipolar, might be schizophrenia, might be. I'm like, no, dude, like you're meeting me at this like insane point in my life. Like, I just felt like it was so quick to throw labels and like, I was like, you don't understand. Like this.
Also realizing going through that process, like they have to protect against the worst case scenario. So they're like trained in a way like, oh, she's showing this. Okay, this could be bipolar. Okay, we got to start treating it. We got to start medicating. We got to start whatever.
Yeah.
But like us knowing intuitively, like it's just, there's so much in this cocktail of trauma happening right now, paired with the sleep deprivation, the repressed memories, all this stuff, the postpartum hormones, etc. Like it probably does appear that way. And I'm starting to research, get really smart and all this stuff. Like I know it appears as bipolar schizophrenia, but it's really, the deeper you look into it, like that's a surface thing and there's just so much going on. And then it's like, what is the answer? Like, how do we help? How do we start to progress?
Yeah. And I will say, like, I feel like I've always been like a spiritual person, like, especially after my mom passed away 13 years ago, I became really open to the idea that there's more happening than what we can see, right? Like, I've always believed in signs. For me, I have like a few personal ones that like really, I know my mom is there. Like for me, it's white roses, it's ladybugs. I won't explain these things why, but I've just always believed in guardian angels. I believe that we are still connected to our loved ones in some way when they aren't physically here with us anymore. But I experienced in this postpartum like such a shift that it took my belief to a different level. And if you listen to episode like 2 episodes ago where I shared about my first repressed memory, like I believe that I had a block a lot of my life of being open to like spirituality, or like I was so triggered by the word God or Jesus or any of that stuff. I think a lot of that was actually like implanted in me because I was molested at church camp when I was 12 years old. And so I think there was this like shutdown of like, I don't trust these people. Like I had so much trauma, but like I also didn't remember that. So it was like deeply buried. But then there would be things that like literally for as long as I can remember, like worship music has always like moved me. Like I've just always been like, why do I cry when I hear this? Why do I get full body chills? Like with our home birth with Cove, our second born, like there's a song called Tremble.
Oh my gosh.
It is the most beautiful
If
song.
you like worship music, after this episode, go listen to it.
Yeah,
in
and
your
we
car,
listened to
driving.
that song on repeat like her whole birth. And I was not even like, I didn't even have a personal relationship with Jesus at all. So, but like I was moved
And it's
by
like,
that music.
Jesus, Jesus.
They literally say Jesus like
you
200
make
times.
my heartbeat tremble,
And I would
something
just like
that.
sing it and feel it as I'm like laboring and like, but like I definitely felt connected to something else. Like it's like that Holy Spirit energy, but there was just nothing there, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, why don't we dive high level into like the spiritual awakening?
Yeah, and I want to say too, like this isn't, I wrote this down somewhere and now I can't find it. I want to like say this right. Hold on, let me see if I can find it, because I have so many notes. I'm like so nervous sharing some of this stuff because it's very raw. Okay, I don't know where it is. I'm going to get overwhelmed looking at that. But none of this is like in a religious way. This is just in a spiritual way. I don't know how to describe that. But I can 100% say, like, it's funny because I have a relationship with my mom, like on the other side. I have since she passed. And that was the only like spirit or like angel or guide or whatever you want to call it that I could like communicate with. And I would hear people be like, oh, Jesus, or like different like gods or different spirits. And I'd be like, huh. And then in like the past few years, I feel like deepened my spirituality, and I totally like feel like I have a connection to my ancestors and spirit guides, and I call on them. I have called on them. And like when you are almost like praying, I guess you could say, or like speaking to like different energies, if that makes sense. Like I've done that for years, but it's been a very personal, private thing. Like I would sometimes tell,
I feel like you've always
things,
been spiritual, but you've always been triggered by
like organized religion
and church.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what happened in this postpartum, and like what opened up, what like.
Yeah. So I can 100% say now I have a personal like one-on-one relationship with Jesus, with Mother Mary, with a lot of different powerful like historical figures. And I know that these people like existed and were powerful and did amazing things, and I like can talk to them. And that might sound like I just lost some people, and I'm not here to like really explain that to people. That's not the point of this episode, but it's a really beautiful, special thing. But I believe that because during my labor I was literally calling out, like crying, saying like, God, if you are real, like show me. Like I was inviting that energy in. And I think when you're at your depths of like, if you're in a dark place and you're like begging for it, like it shows up. Like asking it is given, right? Like that's how it works. And we're big believers that like your mess becomes your message, your pain becomes your purpose. And like I am a strong, powerful person, and I believe that I went through those hard things and then like begged for help, and then it showed up. So literally, if you listen to the last two episodes, 1 week postpartum on May 4th, the day that that first repressed memory came out was the very first time that I had an interaction, like a total connection. And that was the day like I met Jesus, if you will. And I feel very vulnerable sharing that because it sounds crazy. And when I would tell some of this stuff to the therapist, they're like at one of my I almost said at one of my psych ward visits. We'll get to that. But at one of the ER visits, this intake guy was interviewing me, and I was listening to worship music, just crying. And he's like, I have a question for you. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, what do you think happens when we die? And I was like, I mean, I don't know. And he was like, huh, better answer than I thought. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I thought you were going to say heaven or something. And I was like,
wildly unprofessional.
Yeah, I'll never forget the way he looks. I actually recently saw him about 3 weeks ago because I had to go back to the ER for this like blood work thing. They mixed up my blood work with someone else. They thought I was
Jenny's been through it.
They thought I was going to be
mixed up blood work, like emergency ER visit. We're like, what?
Yeah,
wrong blood work.
I was basically about to be diagnosed with a rare blood disease, and they were like sending me to oncologists.
ER's like, your blood work is perfect. We're like, okay,
but I
that's
saw
what we thought.
This guy that I saw when I was like literally 3 weeks postpartum in the depths of hell, I saw him a couple weeks ago, 9 months postpartum when this was all going down. But anyway, I'll never forget him. Shaved head, blue eyes, works in the emergency department. And he said, oh, I thought you were going to say heaven or something. And I was like, oh, which I was like, I don't know. Like this is all new to me and whatever. And he goes, I worked in a psych ward for years, and I would hear all kinds of crazy stuff. None of that stuff is true. I've been watching you. I am not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure you have multiple personalities. He's like, a doctor will be in a moment. And then he walks out, and I was like,
so insanely unprofessional. Like he could probably get in huge trouble
I hope
if
it
he
was
was
like,
identified.
yeah, I've been like, I hope that was recorded. Like, I don't know if they've, I don't know, whatever. That's beside the point.
Honestly, side note, but related, like there's spiritual warfare happening this whole
Mm-hmm.
time too. So Sandy's like building this relationship, like talking to Jesus, Mother Mary, different stuff, like getting closer. But at the same time, there's, I don't know, whatever we call demons, whatever, visiting.
I would just call it like dark energy.
Dark energy, like visiting too, and in the form of repressed memories and different stuff, that trauma from the past. And I'm
and
like,
specifically like ancestors
yeah,
that I won't say who, but ancestors that were honestly like bad people were like visiting me
and
in
Sandy's
my
like
sleep,
lineage,
but also when I was awake. And yeah, people
or
that
up
like were very abusive, and yeah, and not far removed from me. Like there was a lot of stuff there.
What is it called again?
What?
When you like banish?
Rebuke.
Rebuke. Oh my gosh. So we're getting like this, not spiritual 101, like spiritual like 101, like just all coming at us so fast. We've always been like spiritual and God energy and different stuff, and all of a sudden like dark energies visiting, and some of our spiritual friends are like, and even Sandy is getting these downloads like, you need to rebuke
no, I
this
didn't
dark
know.
energy.
I never even knew that word.
Okay.
Your mom was staying with us.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
mom is a devout Christian.
Yeah.
Always has been. And she was watching me have these like insane panic attacks. I would literally like take my towel in the bathroom. I'd be screaming and like whipping this energy that was in the room. I would be screaming out his name. And she was like, you need to rebuke him. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I didn't even know what that meant. And she was like, you need to say like in Jesus' name. Like if you say Jesus' name, like that will literally like, they like nothing can come to that name. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, okay. But I started doing it. And like literally when I would do it with like passion, and like I was like, I'm desperate to get help. Like, this sounds really crazy. And I literally never thought I would share this publicly, but I just started doing it. And like I definitely noticed a shift in energy. But then I kept having this like deep feeling, like until Wade is on board and he freaking rebukes the spirit, it will not fully go away. It's going to keep haunting me. It's going to keep coming at night. Like at night, I'd be so scared, and I would like feel the spirit like crawling in my bed and like going up my spine, and like it would be like so creepy and like dark and heavy. And I like knew whose energy it was. Like I knew it. I could feel it. I knew the name of the person. This is someone I personally knew in my life, like a family member. And I just like, and so Wade was like, babe, like you tell me how you felt about that.
So Wade's story time amid Sandy's. My mom and Sandy are like, Sandy, honestly, at this point, is not sleeping, is manic, but also not like crazy. Like is crazy, but is not crazy. Like if that makes sense. Like is saying all this crazy stuff. But, like it is happening, and it's a product of a lot of things. And she's out of her mind, but in her mind at the same time. And so
I could like snap.
But my
in and out of
mom
it,
too is like, you need to, as the protector of your family and the husband and the father, like you need to rebuke, you need to like banish, like they will, whatever, listen to your strength, and you need to use it in Jesus' name and all these things. And I'm like brand new, I didn't even heard of rebuking. And I'm like,
which
and you
is
guys,
crazy because you were baptized and you were raised Christian. And
people who know me too, like it's super hard to get me riled up. Like I don't get riled up very easily. Like I'm energetic and everything, but like I don't get fired up, like mad, anything like that. Really, it's really hard. And so like me having to like rebuke and like cast out dark energy and demons, I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. But I'm like, I'm just trusting, and I'm like, all right, and if this is a step I got to take to protect my family, like here we go. So I'm talking to my mom, like kind of learning how to rebuke. I think I might have called a buddy or two to feel like that would be able to coach me a little bit on how to rebuke. I'm like, all right. And I just remember like almost getting fired up. Like I remember back to the days where I would, before a football game, I would really have to like drop into my body and fire myself up and get like really just passionate energy running through me. It was like that, but like times 10. And just this feeling of like, I need to protect my family. And just like, I remember doing it in my house, but going on this nature walk and like rebuking in our neighborhood. It was one of the craziest experiences of my life. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm just like kind of like yelling out loud.
Well, before
and
you
like,
left too, I'm like, are you done with this? Are you done with us being like tormented and up all night and like
Yeah, Sandy's like putting it on me as if like I have this responsibility
I just felt like
to end
I
everything.
needed backup. Like I can't just be going through this like by myself. Like you gotta freaking seal it in, bro. Like let's be a
Going
team.
through it by yourself.
And like no, I was being tortured.
No,
like,
I know.
Truly.
And so I did this rebuking. It felt actually, and then that night was the first night they didn't visit in the night.
Yep.
Which was cool. So we were like, whoa, it was kind of this spiritual proof, for lack of a better term, of like, whoa, we just rebuked. And they, the first night in weeks and weeks and weeks, maybe even over a month at that point, didn't visit Sandy in the night, which was crazy. And she got the most sleep, but it was still only like 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah. So anyway, God, there's so many ways my brain like wants to share of all.
Well, overall, so we're going through the spiritual awakening, specifically Sandy, and spiritual warfare. So there is like these moments with Jesus and Mother Mary, and then there's these there's this warfare. It's almost battling over Sandy's soul.
My mom, like my ancestors, like different, like some like spirits that I didn't even fully know, but that I felt very safe and familiar with, and they would come through in my dreams, and they would like I would like be like, oh my God, I have to write this down, and like I will probably never publicly share some of the stuff that I wrote down because it is like some of the stuff I'm like, is this even real or true? Like they're almost like,
yeah,
I don't know how to describe it.
I mean, our spiritually mature friends too, you know, we would consult them too, and they're like, this is what happens when you're really going to get connected, like to Jesus and God. Like it's warfare, like the devil. It's warfare. It's like a battle of two sides, like for your soul almost. And so that was happening amidst no sleep, postpartum hormones, manic days and nights, and repressed memories, and all this trauma and everything unearthing, and having a physical wound from a C-section. Like all of this is happening. It is insane, for lack of a better terms. And
I will have to share some things too. So it's funny, like once I found Jesus, and again, like none of this is like in a religious way. Like I don't know how to, it's like an energy.
Religion is an organization of
like
Jesus and God.
Yes, that. It's so much deeper than that. It's not like a right or a wrong. Like which religion are you? Like I still would not classify as religious personally. Like I don't subscribe to religion for a multitude of reasons. Maybe one day I will, but at this point, I'm still just on a journey of exploring my one-on-one relationship with different like spirits and guides, and but like 100%, like me and Jesus have a very powerful like, and this I feel so judged when I'm even saying this because I'm like thinking of certain people in my life that I love that don't have that, and that's okay. I didn't.
Well, also you would have judged like, you before.
What is wrong with Sandy? We lost her. But then I'm thinking of my friends that like really are very religious. That might be like, okay, we almost saved her, but now she's like doing her woo woo, like has a relationship, but isn't like. So I have this whole like, I feel like I'm like in between, and I have peace with that.
It's everyone's like, personal journey.
Yeah. So anyway, something I want to share though too is like so one of our dear friends, Tara Brandsma, she's like a mentor to us. She gave me a Bible like a week before I had crew. We met for coffee or something. And she was like, God told me I needed to give you this. And I was like, okay. And I opened it when I got home. And it was a Bible with like a whole highlighter set and everything. And I was like, that is so nice. Like, I think I did have a Bible, but I definitely had like never read it or anything. But there was like these little signs and things like that where close people in our life were definitely like trying, I don't want to say trying to convince us or influence us, but like when I started reflecting, I was like, whoa, like there's been a lot of like trying to come at us. And I've never been like, no, I'm anti that. I was like open and grateful.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, in those postpartum weeks, like I started digging into that Bible. I'd be up at night, like reading and highlighting and like researching and making connections and being like, oh my gosh, like I was almost having this like out of body experience. And the truth is, it's like we all live like in a 3D world, right? Like the physical, like you can see it and you can feel it. Like that's how human beings mainly live. That's like our reality. During this time, I was literally going in and out. Like I was in different realms. Like I literally was in like 60, 70. Like I was not in this world. Like I was physically here, but my like spirit and my soul and my like knowings were like, it was like out of this world where I was like, people don't get it yet. Like I was like seeing things, feeling things, experiencing things that I don't even have words for. It's literally, you have to experience it to know it.
Yeah. I think high level, like, spiritual warfare, awakening, crisis, lots of stuff. And that's all happening. and then let's segue into like whatever you want to get into, but about like, so now all of this, the lack of sleep, spiritual warfare, all the things, you know, all the trauma are starting to manifest in the form of like panic attacks, as Sandy's covered, but they start to get more and more severe and almost like we're like seizure like convulsing.
Oh, I'd
Like
collapse to the floor. I'd
collapse,
pee all over
convulsing,
myself.
peeing herself, yeah, like on our kitchen floor. And that, you know, when those happened,
I called
we would call, yeah, we call 911. Happened once, and then it happened again,
No, it happened
right?
twice. Once
Yeah,
in our bedroom.
happened once. You came back home from the ER, and then
this last time that it happened.
Yeah, let's go there.
Yeah. So Wade, I was like, I just need sleep. I need a quiet house. I was like, I'm fine being alone. And so he took the 3 kids. He took them to Golden, like a town near us. Took them on a walk, whatever. I'm home alone. I had told my family, my mother-in-law, my dad, my best friend, Kristen, Wade, I was like, I need help. Like, I need professional help. Like, and I started like daydreaming. I'm like, I want to go to retreat. Like, I think I need to go to like India or something. Like, I literally need to go away. Like, this is heartbreaking to say, but I think I need to go away for like a month or two and like literally disconnect from this life. And as sad as that is to be away from my newborn and my family, like, I am not okay. And I need to like reset. Like, I need to start over. And so I started saying stuff like that. Well, as I'm like on the phone with my mother-in-law and my best friend, and they're like, okay, we're going to start doing research and stuff. My mother-in-law calls and she's like, okay, I found a place. It's like close by. They have a bed available. I'm like, okay. So I talk to the front desk lady and she was like, yeah, we have a bed available, but I'm just warning you, like, this is a behavioral, like, this is a psych ward. And I was like, oh no, I'm not, that's not what I'm looking for. And so I'm like getting triggered by that. And then I'm home alone. Next thing you know, full blown panic attack. Like, now we know they're just panic attacks. They did like a medical EEG to like look at my brain and see if they were seizures. They were like, I thought maybe they were non-epileptic seizures, but no, they weren't. They said it was self-induced seizure. They said it could maybe be this thing called like conversion disorder, which is basically when your like body is in metabolic chaos and you're having like such insane panic attacks that it's basically a self-induced
Yeah,
seizure.
I mean, zooming out, it's Sandy's body physically manifesting now a cry for help, and brain, the body brain connection of like, we're not sleeping, we have so much trauma, we have so many triggers, we have postpartum hormones, we have all these things, we have this whole cocktail, and we can't keep going. I'm going to give you a seizure like panic attack to warn you. These are just, your body will always give you signals. They start as whispers and then they eventually become screams and yells. And a lot of times it's trauma from, and it's not necessarily just, you know, sexual abuse or different stuff like that. Trauma can be a lot of different things, but trauma manifests in the body and it starts out subtle and then it turns into chronic disease, autoimmune, whatever. In this case, it was so acute, meaning so sudden and so strong that it manifested in these like wild, insane panic attacks that were like almost seizures. So I'm rushing back. Yeah. It seems irresponsible to have left her, but like we had neighbors. She was on the phone with my mom and one of her best friends. And I'm like, okay, I'll get them out of the house. And so we're on our way back. We're like 10, 15 minutes away. She's like, no, can't have the kids see me this way. She called 911 herself and she's convulsing, peeing on the floor, but able to call 911. And she's like, I don't want the kids to see, etc. So yeah, I remember seeing the ambulance though coming out as we pulled in, which was crazy.
Yeah, and it was crazy because they didn't know what to do with me. Like when the firefighters got there, because it was like my vitals were great. Like, and it's like we're gonna
shout
take
out first responders and firefighters and nurses and everyone. By the way, I remember because there's one night we had to call them and they came into the room and they were like, I felt like they were like my bros, but they were like helping. Saying, I'm like, there's only so much I can do. They're like, you're doing great.
I could like, you got this. You could tell a lot of them are like young dads. Like I could feel their passion of you, like, bro. Yeah. Like I'm sorry that your wife.
Take care of your kids. We'll make sure she's safe. All the things. This is like multiple occasions, and I'm also like, damn, these guys are studs too. Look at these firefighters just rolling in with their mustaches and all jacked, and like I'm like, yeah, go firefighter. Shout out first responders in the house. Anyways, back to you're on the ambulance on the way to like the. Not finally ER visit, but like the next chapter.
Yeah. So I'm on, and this time I decided, so all my ER visits and my birth were all at the same hospital. And then this time they were like, do you want to go to this place? And I was like, I had some trauma from that place. And I was like, you know what, let's go somewhere else. So we went to this other place And like it was a horrible experience. I got put in this like lock cell basically of like they're monitoring you for like 24
I
hours.
feel like we should just high level this and
Yeah,
go
this
to the
was it was
next.
very bad.
But basically,
was
well, when
horrible.
you show these signs, they can put you on a medical hold. I think it's 72 hour where they're like, no, you cannot break her out. No, you can't check her out. Like they, they have to go worst case scenario. So like she could be a threat to herself or other people or whatever because she's having these crazy panic attacks and talking this, and that. So then she's on a hold there. And yeah, it's not a cushy place. It's four walls, it's a little cot, and
I was the
it's
only
people
I was
that deal
only
with
one in there. It was like a dungeon.
kind of people that are a little bit are going out of their mind a little bit, and so they're kind of like numb to it and can't really be compassionate necessarily to it, and they have to process and handle a certain way. And so especially for a postpartum mom going through all of this, like, but at the same time, gotta respect, like, there's only so much you can do, and there was no in between. There wasn't this like in between, like, oh, we can get Sandy to this safe, compassionate, empathetic postpartum cocoon that can help deal with this. Like it was like we can't do it at home. We have to. She has to, I guess, be in the ER right now. Like, and the 72-hour hold, and from there they can decide when you're on that hold. Okay, she's going to an inpatient behavioral mental health facility, aka a psych ward.
Yeah, and I was convinced, like it was so scary there. I'll never forget the face of the people that work there, and they all have like inside jokes and like kind of, I don't know, like I definitely felt like they were mocking me, making fun of me. And I saw this woman that was dressed as a like housekeeper, like she was going to be cleaning up, and she was coming room by room, and they were like whispering things to her. And like I don't want to profile or anything, but like she was a white woman, like definitely did not seem like she was the housekeeper. And I saw her put this needle in her pocket, and I was like, she's making her way to my room. They're gonna freaking inject me with something. Not the first time that's happened without my consent. And so I was so scared, and I was like, defense mode, like I have to. And so at this place, they like let you have your phone sometimes. And so I had it. So I started recording. I actually still have the video on my phone. And the guy literally like tackled me to the floor. Like on the video, you can see me like getting like jumbled on the floor. And they were like, we have to get this girl out of here. So anyway, I get transferred to a psych ward. And this time it was 9 days. And it was truly these 9 days of my life. Like, I don't know if I'll ever fully get over and heal from like some of the stuff that happened there, but it was the scariest experience of my life.
Because these are like honestly insane people, and Sandy is on the surface appearing, insane, and like
Yeah.
there's no, unfortunately, yeah, there's not that postpartum cocoon that can help her in between. So it's like absolutely cannot be handled at home, cannot be like, oh, see a therapist or psychiatrist and be at home, outpatient it's called. So it's like there's no in between, unfortunately. So it's like she's in a psych ward with clinically insane people that are going through their own go through.
Well, and then the thing
And
is
it's not a
too, my
place for a
mind was playing
postpartum
tricks
mom.
on me. So when I reflect on this whole time period, I don't know if some of these things were real or not, if it was from the injections that they gave me, if it makes your memory fuzzy or what, but like there were certain things that were happening or things that I was convinced were happening. Like I kind of started feeling like I was an experiment. Like I'm part of this like experiment, like they're doing something to me, like there's something bigger here. Like I was feeling it, I was seeing signs. I was like, oh my God, like they are literally going to try and kill me. And it's just going to be like, she had a heart attack. It's like, no, no, no. I am going to get through this. I'm going to survive. But when I got to the this psych ward, um, they, I will never forget this. 6 people held me down and they jabbed me in my leg and I was out.
But also, like, I will say, like, you weren't just like complying or being like
No, I
peaceful.
was
Like
scared.
Sandy was like
Fighting.
freaking out and fighting and convulsing and different stuff. And it's funny
I
you
was
say
scared
that
I
on
was
the
never going to see
timing.
my family again.
It's funny you say that on the timing. Like my mind's playing tricks to me. I don't know what's true or false because like I was just thinking about that um, in the sense of a few things, and just I've been like this whole time living the experience as someone like not going through it, and I'll just lack of better terms in my right mind,
Yeah.
and still not getting lots of sleep. Right, like I'm feeling wild too, but I'm in my right mind still. And I get to see it from my perception, and you're going through it in your first hand experience and in your perception, and realizing your mind does play tricks on you, and especially our brains are wired for survival and for worst case scenario. That's just kind of how they are to
Especially
survive.
mine.
And so when you're on the lack of sleep and going through all this crazy stuff, like it almost shows you and is wired in a certain way to like survival instinct. So like you're just now in this full survival instinct, like part of your brain that's operating. And I will say, like, all of this stuff is happening to Sandy, but there's some stuff that she's then perceiving, and then there's some stuff that's real, and it's like these blurred lines of like what's happening. Is there this huge conspiracy and this psych ward against me and all this stuff? But at the same time, you're dealing with like, unfortunately, in these places, you aren't in your own room. You have a roommate who's literally
Psycho.
crazy.
Yeah.
And you're a postpartum mom, and your family and baby's at home, and you're going kind of wild and crazy yourself. But like talking about, all this crazy stuff and these conspiracies and talking wild, and honestly, like it's hard to decipher, but there definitely was stuff that's like objectively not true and like not reality and didn't happen, but that probably felt really real. And there was stuff that like was true and objectively like did happen.
I want to believe that there's good psych wards out there, that there's good mental health facilities. The one I was at, there's just things that are done that is inhumane. Like you do not have access to water. You have to ask for water. And half the time when I would ask the nurses for water, they'd be like, do you hear something? They're like behind this like clear plastic thing. So my lips were so chapped, they would peel in sheets, they'd be bleeding. I was so dehydrated. I was so thirsty. I was still pumping every 3 hours trying to keep my milk supply up. So I'm a lactating mom trying to feed my baby, and they won't give me water, only sometimes, like if they feel like it. Food is you wait in line to go to the cafeteria, and then sometimes they just pluck you out of the line and you're not allowed to eat. And then they'll bring you a container of food later. And all the psych ward people that have been there longer, they're like, don't eat that. If they bring you a container, don't eat it. They sprinkle it with blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? And then sometimes when I'd watch them bring food to other people and they would eat it, it's like that person starts throwing up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. So then I would just like wouldn't eat. And one of the things I did eat a lot, because they'd come out with a snack cart once a day and then people would like swarm. And I'm like scarred from these. You know those Chobani yogurts? They're like literally, I think it has like 9 grams of protein in it or something like that.
That is a very solid psych ward meal.
That was the best thing they had.
Yeah.
So I would eat like 4 of those a day. They have so much sugar in them. But like now when I see those at the store, I literally like have like a visceral response. I'm like, oh my God, we were in Hawaii last week visiting his dad, and his dad bought them and our girls were eating them. And I was like, I can't even touch those things. Like there's things like that. And then like we had to wear these like maroon jumpsuit things, like an inmate in prison. And every time I see that color, like I'm like, ugh. Like there's just certain things. But yeah, I had a roommate, my first roommate, Isadora. She told me she worked for the
maybe
government.
not names.
I don't know if that was even really her name.
Yeah,
she
right.
Told me her name was.
Let's limit names on the podcast.
Yeah, it was wild. She told me she worked for the government. She told me all these like inside things. Like the stuff she was telling me was she would write notes and like leave them under my pillow. And like they told us there's no cameras or there's no recording in your room, but like if she would tell me certain things that were like high alert, like can't believe she just said that, within a minute someone would be like, what are you guys talking about? And like in our room, and I was like, okay, I definitely feel like we're being like recorded or something. So there was just like a lot of stuff like that. I will never forget, there was this girl that was a room over for me, Sarah, and she was acting up. She would get feisty, like she was supposedly like schizophrenic. She would fight, she would get very violent, and she was really acting up one night. And by the way, I did not sleep the whole time I was there. I had a thing on my ankle, and they did safety checks on me and scanned me every 5 minutes.
Which is legal. They have to.
Yeah, a man would come in my room.
I think
and
every
scan
15
my
minutes.
No, I was on 5-minute safety checks. Yeah, because they were worried that I was going to hurt myself, which I literally never wanted to. But yeah, it was just it's so crazy. Anyway, one night I hear them come into her room. She's screaming, no, 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 like all this stuff, and Isadora goes, she's going to go on a sunshine ride. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, there's all these like words that I'm like, what do these things mean? Next thing you know, I can tell she got injected, because she went from screaming to all of a sudden she's profusely vomiting, and then it's silent. And then I hear like plastic noises, and then she's rolled out on a bed, and I never saw her again. So I'm like, what just happened? Like, I don't know. Maybe she got transferred for them to go take care of her. Maybe she got moved to a different floor. Maybe she's fine.
For sure.
Who knows?
For sure.
I don't know.
I don't want this to turn into like conspiracy theorists listening to this, like, oh my gosh, and start going crazy about
I
it.
don't
But
know,
like,
but I never
there's
saw her
wild
again.
stuff that happens in the
Yep.
psych ward.
And there was people that were there much longer than me
But
that
there's not systemic murders or anything going on.
Yeah, I hope not. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't see anyone get murdered, but I did see a lot of people get injected, abused.
Sure.
Like it was horrible.
It's a really tough environment.
And I also do feel for the people that work there because there are people that are crazy.
Yeah.
And so they're just probably trying to defend themselves.
And
but
all day they're dealing with that. Like, and it's, yeah. So, yeah, that's a good point. Like, it's hard. It's got to be really hard for them too.
Yeah. So when I checked in, I was on like a 72-hour like voluntary check-in. And then after that,
No.
I had to
You
sign
felt
up.
like you were involuntary. It was not. I know you asked to go. It was medical. Like, there was no it was
Okay, I
involuntary.
got forced or whatever.
Yes. And
Okay.
so we had no control.
But once
at
I
that
got
point.
there, I was like, okay, I can do anything for 3 days. Like
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be 3 days, and I had seen my mom go to these like growing up too. So I was like, okay, like I know what to expect. Well, then without them telling, it's like day 4 or 5, and I'm like, how many days has it been? Like, and I hadn't slept. Like I was so scared there. I did not feel safe. So I'm like losing my mind, so tired. And I would just be singing out loud to myself. Like I would be singing that song all the time, Joy in the Morning. It's like a worship song that I love. And I would just be like, there will be joy in the morning. And I would just like vision Wade checking me out. And I'd get to go home, or I'd get to go to like a retreat.
There's 2 visitation days for 1 hour.
30
like
minutes.
30 minutes, yeah, that I would get to come to, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just, the whole thing was so terrifying. And so then, yeah, it started turning where I'm like, this is like corrupt. And so they had this whole thing on their wall. They wouldn't let me take a picture of it. They're very strict. They keep your phone from you. They tape your camera, and you have media hours or media time. It's like 30 minutes a day, I think like 2 times a day. And they had this big thing on the wall, very small fine print of all their policies and procedures. And I'm like reading them, and I'm like, this doesn't happen here. This doesn't happen here. This doesn't happen here. And so I was like, can I take a picture of this? And they're like, absolutely not. So I had a journal, and I started literally word for word writing everything. I forgot to say this. The whole time there, I had documented all my nurses, the meds they'd give me, how many milligrams or whatever, all the stuff. I started documenting things I was witnessing, like all the stuff. And on day like 6, my journal disappeared. And I was like, who stole my journal? Like someone stole my journal. And I was pissed because I'm like, there is so much like evidence in there. And someone went in my room. Not that I had a lot of belongings. I literally like had this journal. But anyway, they had this policies and procedures. They had the picture of the girl that's in charge of where you file your grievances, which is like your complaints. So I started filing grievances, writing them, and they were just disappearing. And so I'm just like, who can I talk to? Who can help me? And so I started getting to a point where I'm like, this is creepy. Like I don't feel safe here. I don't know who to talk to. Like, and then when the doctors would make their rounds, everyone's like swarming them because they're like begging to like, because that's your connection to the outside world. Like they're the ones that will call your family and be like, oh, they're taking their meds, they're complying, they're resting, they're doing better. And they would obviously be calling Wade and being like, she's not really taking meds.
Yeah, in the
she's
beginning. Well, because you didn't want to take meds in the beginning. We didn't want to do meds. But like, is at the point like, okay, if this is the way to get out and take the next step, like, you need to do this. So the doctor would call me and be like, we literally, we're at a stalemate because like she's not sleeping, she's not refusing meds, and she's not getting any better, and we cannot release her like liability. And so then I'm in the position, I'm at home.
My hand would have a pile. They'd be giving me lithium, they'd be giving me olanzapine, they'd be giving me Seroquel. I'd have like 9 pills in my hand, and there's like 3 nurses standing around you watching you, and you put it in your mouth and they swallow it and they're like checking. Like they force you to take this so that they can check off that you've complied and taken your meds. So and I'm talking like to the
doctors and nurses, and I'm trying to be the in between of like, okay, they have their job medically and what they need to do in their protocol. Sandy is telling me this, and who can I like bridge the gap and like be the bridge in between and like to start to progress and move forward, because we can't just live in this cycle. You were just in a cycle. Like there was no, and honestly, to be honest, like you weren't going to get out of your cycle like on your own either. And like, so it did require like, all right, we're going to need to take these meds. We're going to need to start to comply. It's not going to be a forever thing.
I had my Hakas, and every 3 hours I was pumping and just pumping and dumping. Obviously, I'm not going to give that medicated milk to my son, but I wanted to keep my supply up. But I was like, I don't know what these long-term effects of these drugs are. Like I want to, when I,
But it was such an acute situation. It was like the greater good, like wasn't about breast milk, like which is sad in different things on its own, but it was like getting you back toward moving towards stability was like number one, and like everything else, like because our family was safe. We, there's formula and different stuff for babies, but was like that's fine. And so Sandy's getting back to stability was number one. We were like, how do we do it? All right, we need to just take the things and start to comply. If you can get some sleep, you can start to stabilize, and we can get out of there the next time. Meanwhile, this whole time I'm researching like, what can I even do? Like, because she can't just get out of this psych ward and come
but
back
also
home.
I couldn't fully tell you what was happening because they record all your calls. They have like a phone you can use, and you have to dial.
Well, I got to visit and we got to talk.
I couldn't fully be real with you. I couldn't. And I got warned by a lot of people, like, if you're fully real, you could go to the seclusion room. There's a seclusion room I don't want to go there. I don't want to be even more lonely and like more scared. And so I was like telling you, but not fully telling you how bad it was. Like, I'm like, I don't like it here. I want to come home. Like, I want to go to retreat. Like, I was like saying it, but not saying it. And then by day like 7 or 8, I was getting like more aggressive. I'm like, I need to get out of here. Like, and so I started being like way more, like, I told them, I'm like, I need to call my lawyer. And so I started doing that. And I
and they kept like extending like their control hold where like they had control still and we didn't. And honestly, like I get it too. Like I was the sane person in between, and I'm like, I understand you can't release her like medically liability wise, but like that's where I'm like, okay, Sandy, if you can start to take some of the meds and comply and show that you can take the next step towards like healing. And so then I'm talking to the doctor and I'm having to like negotiate. You realize there is some
it's all a
negotiation.
business.
And yes, there is a business component. And unfortunately, the sad thing is it's just like they just stay in the loop, and like the doctors and the people there aren't thinking about what's the next best step for Sandy. They're like, how do we get through today? How do we serve her today? And like honestly, it keeps you unfortunately in that place, in that loop. And you need to have people on the outside fighting for you and advocating and resources, because I would visit and it would be the same visitation hours and I would see the same people visiting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I'm fighting it. And but I would see some of their body language, and honestly some of them like didn't even speak English, and I'm like, I wonder what their resources are. I wonder
months.
Yeah, and I started to have conversations with them, like you can tell like they don't necessarily have resources or know what to do next, or they're like
it's
fighting tooth and nail to make ends meet, and like they don't have family that, and like Sandy's dad's calling me, and my mom and all the people like, how can we help, what can we do? They're trying to do stuff, and like we're privileged and grateful that we have resources. But I will also say I've never been more resourceful at the same time. There's resources, but there's being resourceful in my life, and just the amount I'm learning and understanding and trying to figure out how to bridge a gap and get to the next best step. And like, so finally I'm talking to the doctor. I'm like, look, I'm going to give you my whole blueprint game plan of how we're going to get Sandy from where she is now to the next step. I'm not just going to bring her home with our 3 kids and our newborn and everything. Like, I understand that. So, but they have to protect against worst case and they have liability, but I'm starting to understand my legal rights and all the things, talking to lawyers and all the different stuff. And, but at the same time, Sandy's not showing that she can be safe, not that she's going to harm herself or anyone else.
I haven't slept.
The panic attacks,
I'm exhausted. I'm dehydrated. I'm hungry. I'm terrified. I'm all these things. And like,
finally, we started to get more. You need to really advocate for yourself in these situations, which is hard because I understand like we have a really broken system. Like that place was doing the best they can, and like I think they go through and deal with a lot, and they probably don't do everything great. And Sandy's seen a lot of things, and unfortunately, it also is what it is, and it's very broken, and it's this vicious cycle, because like once you're in there, like if you don't have someone advocating, and if you don't have someone on the outside advocating, it's really hard to break out and break free from that. Like, so I like, and I know you do too, feel for, but it's also like, what's the answer? Like,
There's
how do
people
we?
in my mind, like Preston, Hercules, like there's people that I'll never forget that are there, that have been there. Like one of them, I'm pretty sure was homeless. So maybe he's grateful to be there, but like
Some of
these
them were, they
people
told
were
you that,
there
right?
for so long. Like you could tell they're skinny, they're emaciated, their skin is like it's just, I was like, this can't be my life. Like this is not where I'm meant to be. And so I'm sure on the outside you were helping, but in the inside, I'm writing grievances.
Oh,
I'm
you're
calling my
fighting, yeah.
lawyer.
You're
And
battling
on day
every
like
day.
8, I was like, listen up. My husband and I are influential people. We have big following. If something happens to me, if I die or get sick or whatever, everyone will know. Like this will not like, so I started like almost having to threaten them of being like, yeah, like if I just go missing or something just happens or Sandy mysteriously gets sick, because I was seeing shit happen where I was like kind of convinced that they were like kind of, because they had changed something with my status where I could be there up to 90 days. And I was like, no, this is not.
Well, I had to go meet with them and unravel it. And there's a lot behind the scenes too. Yes, you were advocating, and thankfully, Sandy is very resourceful and advocates and fights for herself, even in this no sleep. Brain is like in
Survival
this
mode.
manic survival mode, but like fortunately for you and us, and you were still able to advocate and fight for yourself, even though it was like crazy advocate and fight. You were still able to do it, and then you had on the outside too. We finally got to this place 9 days in where like one, I had found the plan. That's, I don't know how you want to segue, but like had found this place, the bridge, which we'll talk about
That's gonna be
eventually,
the
the
next
next episode, which was a 21-day trauma healing retreat, had all the
life
resources.
changing.
And so like I'm like pleading with the doctors. I'm like, she's postpartum, she can't, this isn't the right place. I know you need to stabilize maybe with some medication. Let's stabilize, let's do what we got to do, but we got to find the next place. And so they're like, send us the plan. If we see the plan and we see it checked, paid and checked in the days and whatever,
Well, and they had to
we
take my
can
blood
release
work.
her.
They had to start tracking my blood work at like 48 hours before release, 28 hours, 24 hours before release, because they wanted to make sure I didn't
Medically
have
they
like
can't
crazy
release, yeah.
levels of like lithium or certain things where it wouldn't be safe for me to leave.
Well, if you ER anywhere, they have to make sure you're good before they can release you.
Yeah.
Psych board.
But then my brain for days leaving, like I was paranoid. Like when he picked me
Well, you
up,
hadn't slept, yeah.
I was paranoid. When we left, we
Any
get out to
the
his car.
most sane person ever, if you don't sleep for a long enough time, you will literally go out of your mind. It's just how our brain works.
We get out to the car though, and his tire's flat, and I'm like, they did
That
this.
was crazy.
They did this. This is all part like, and I'm
You
like,
know what though? Sandy's going through this and is like feeling kind of crazy, but it was a sunny day and we got her out finally. The second psych ward we didn't have to, this one wasn't a bust out. It was
No.
a more formal bust out. It was a bust out, but the first one was like break free, like breaking out. This one was a breaking out, but it was like this formal few day process of it.
I hate to say this, but I am eternally scarred. Like truly, that might sound dramatic. Unless you have been through this type of experience, you will never understand the stuff I went through there and the stuff I saw, the stuff I experienced. I felt like I was honestly tortured. Like it was, I shouldn't say tortured because they didn't like beat me. But I don't even know the right word.
Well, easy for me to say not having gone through it, but I did so much.
Your bed is this big. You have a sheet that's so thin. It's like 58 degrees in your room. You're shivering. You're frozen. Like, it's just like everything is about like, it's like you're so uncomfortable. Like, I'd rather sleep outside than sleep in that. Like, I'd rather be outside, living on my own, surviving in like a tent or something, than having to live in that condition.
You're hunched over. Just take a breath.
I know, I'm feeling it all.
Obviously, this is getting. Sandy would ask me to put my hand on her chest. It makes her feel safe, so we're doing that now. This is on video, by the way. If you go watch it on Spotify, it's on video. But you are safe. But understand, like, she's now going through this again. And side note, I did so much research on trauma. There's this really, I think, one of the best book,
by the way.
The Body Keeps the Score. But Gaber Mate, look him up. He may be the world's leading expert in trauma. So I'm like trying to understand. We all go through our own different traumas, right? But how to handle, how to deal with it, all the different. Side note, you saying, I don't know if I'll ever get through it. Traumas are things like that we have to address. They show up as triggers in our life. And if we never do, it starts to live and manifest in us. So like, honestly, we can't control everything that happens to us, but we do have to control how we respond to it and how we like illuminate. Once trauma comes up, repressed memories, it's like, okay, we got to deal with it. And honestly, through this series, you're going to see how Sandy did illuminate it and deal with it, and it's ongoing. But it's not black and white. It's not certain. It's not like I'll never get through that or this. It's like that happened to me, and then how do I
it's
process and deal with that trauma? Or else it shows up as cancer, as different stuff in the body, as crazy things that we need to like address.
A lot of traumas are an hour long, right? Like if it was a sexual abuse situation or something, it's like they're limited. When it's
that lives with you for life. Or like
I know,
until
but
you
I'm saying
unwind it.
A trauma like that, like when I did ART about some of the sexual abuse or being scared of men, like within a 1 hour ART session, not scared of men. I was in church an hour later with 100 men just singing my heart out. Like
ART and EMDR are very powerful.
But for something like this, that's like a 9-day consecutive experience, like my cells don't know how to fully process that. And even the other night we were in Hawaii with his dad, we were watching some show and there was a scene about a psych ward and I was like, I'm like sweating.
You dealt with it pretty well.
No, I didn't feel good. I was like, I hate this. Like this looks so scary and psycho. And that's literally exactly how it is. And I can't even believe that I was in one of those places. Like, and it's like people that have never been, it's like, oh, you okay? You watching? You're good. It's like I've been thinking about that every single day since that happened. Like, how do I even, it's like this mind replaying of just, it's horrifying, truly. Anyway, that was like the worst thing I've ever had to live through. I got out of it. I honestly pray for the people that maybe I was with in there that are still there, or that people that are going to get, like my roommate at the time told me she'd been in and out for 4 years, different ones in different counties nonstop. Like she just get rolled through. I don't know if that's true. That's just what she told me.
This is a really deep, profound, tough question, but like what's coming to me is like, do you feel like, having gone through all that, like do you feel like if everything happens for a reason, like do you feel like, how do you process that?
I don't know the reason why this part happened. I do believe that, and do
you believe everything happens for a reason?
I think so.
Yeah. So like, then in that framework, in you don't know yet, but I think with that framework, like, okay, that happened. I mean, one thing, I don't know, I think you've mentioned it, but like you're planning on writing a book.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, this podcast, even this series, even the feedback we've gotten from the first 2 episodes, like Sandy is kind of illuminating an experience that she went through, but that a lot of postpartum moms can relate to, and not the exact things, but like overall, I give you a lot of credit for being brave and courageous and sharing. And obviously you're somewhat reliving it, which hopefully is cathartic, meaning some release of it, but also while you're going through it, you're in the feels of it again. But, even if you can illuminate and help and provide these resources. So like if someone listens to this, like, and all of a sudden someone in your life is going through kind of what Sandy's going through, like there's going to be some resources, especially after we finish this story series of kind of the next part of the story and the healing, where the healing starts to begin. Because right now we're still in survival. We're coming up towards the end. We're just broke out of the second psych ward 9 days in. But I believe, my belief system is everything does happen for a reason. And Sandy is a very powerful, spiritually connected, ups, downs, feeling emotional. And me, luckily we're married in that I have very grounding energy, and like it's very hard to shake and rock me. But Sandy is ups and downs. So she's like the heart of our family, but like she's gonna experience the highs and the lows, but she's gonna bring our family up spiritually or vision. And I'm gonna be able to like hold it down, and the strength and the rock and execute whatever. But I believe a lot of good will come from it. And I know I'm positive, and it's somewhat hard to hear like me say that I didn't go through, but like
I know, whether it's the hard book for me to hear that, because I'm like, I really want to know how you would do if you went through what I went through. Like I just, not as like a vengeance or whatever the word is of like being like, hey, you'll never know. But I'm just like, would you be as positive if you had to survive what I survived?
The crazy thing is I've done a lot of praying and reflecting, obviously, and everything through this, and like the messages and downloads I've gotten is like, Wade, you're not necessarily meant to go through the type of things that Sandy has gone through. Your role in this life and in your family and everything is like the foundation and the rock, and be able to hold together. And I honestly think I'll probably do an episode on like Wade's, what I went through, my perspective, not what I went through, like my perspective and having to, that's the deepest I've ever had to dig in life, like in this season. But I think whether it's if you do end up publishing a book, this series, different stuff, like I don't think I wouldn't want this to have happened to you, but since it did, like you're someone who takes pain and repurposes it, and like even sitting here right now and talking about it is helping people. But so we break out, we have this plan to.
So I was there from like, let's think, I think it was like June 19th or 20th through like the end of June. And then I came home. Yeah.
No, I think the bridge was in June.
No, that was July.
Okay.
Because I came home. I was home for
Right,
4th of July.
right before.
4th of July was terrifying for me. All the fireworks. I was like a PTSD ball of just like, I was not okay. I was so scared.
But you were better.
But I was scared. It's because I was home for 4 days before I went to the bridge.
Yeah, we had this 3-4 day plan. I was like, we're gonna have in-home nurses or like just doulas, like support people. Sandy's gonna get to see the kids and family, and gonna have this 3 days at home before this the bridge, which is a 21-day trauma healing retreat in St. George, which is gonna be the next episode, and we're gonna bring on Dr. Brooks.
Yeah, but anyway, that was really intense. If you are still here, like holy crap.
And I
only shared like 5% of it. Like if I could actually tell you some of the stories, holy crap. Like this, when I have told some people stories, people are like sobbing and they're like, I can't believe you went through this. I recently had a friend whose mom went back to a psych ward. She went to a psych ward once like years ago, and then she recently went back. And like my friend has been like reaching out to me because of just, she knows I've been through it, and she's like, what can I do like on the other side? And I've been like trying to help, but it's horrifying, like truly. Anyway, in all that, and it's crazy too, like I have memories. There was like this area, this like lobby area. Oh, you'd get to go outside maybe like 10 minutes a day. I was like the advocate of the group that would be like, we need to get outside, vitamin D is good for us. And I'd like
always been a fighter.
I'd like fight for us, and we'd get to go outside, and they'd give us like pieces of paper and like chalk and like, or not chalk, like markers and whatever. We get to be outside sometimes. But then there was this like lobby area that you couldn't just pick what to watch or put on the YouTube, but I'd be like, can you put on this song? And I would literally like on repeat, I would always play that Joy in the Morning song. And I would just be like singing it. And then I'd like hear the nurses, and they're like, she's losing it again. She's singing her little worship songs. And then they'd make me feel crazy. I'm like, are they going to keep me in here longer because like I have faith? Like it just felt like this whole like twisted, I don't know, the whole thing was just so, it was the most terrifying experience of my life. And I've been through a lot of trauma and a lot of abuse in my life, and those 9 days were for sure the scary. I was so scared I would never see my kids again. I was so scared I would never see my husband again. I was so scared I would never like have a life again. Like I was scared that I would die there. I was. So yeah, if you've never felt that feeling of being scared, like that you are, like people are like trying to conspire against you, it's the worst feeling. It's like, and a lot of it was probably from sleep deprivation. But anyway,
I can hear Crew Boy upstairs.
I know we got to get back. Our dear friend Shannon is here watching her kids, so we
yeah, you might hear Crew's little coos in the background here. But yeah, so you're home for a few days, and the plan next is this 21-day trauma healing retreat, The Bridge in St. George. Dr. Brooks founded it, and out of all the research I was doing, you know, Kristen, your best friend Kristen was doing, your dad was doing, kind of landed on this place and was like, this, it just felt like this is the spot. This is the one. This can help. This can be the bridge, honestly. And so we're excited to share that as a resource.
That's coming up next. The last thing I want to share is, you know, like just because we did start out with some stuff about like faith, and I just want to share this like knowing that I have, like, regardless of what belief system you have, like what religion you are or anything like that, the power of prayer. And even the word prayer used to like trigger me because I'm like, what are you praying to? God? Oh, like it was like this whole thing. Maybe don't call it prayer, whatever you want to call it, but like the power of intentionally sending healing energy to someone that is suffering works. It works. So, and I remember when I first like found Jesus, I'm like asking my friend Tara, I was like, I have a really embarrassing question. Like, how do you pray? And she was like, it's just like a conversation. Like imagine calling a friend and just sharing what you're going through. Like just talk like that to Jesus, to God, to like just get it out. And I was like, okay. So for me, like, I mean, I pray all the time, but I do it a lot in the shower. Showers is when my downloads come through. Like I love when it's like about to be shower time because I'm like, all right, here we go. Like it's like this open portal of communication. I don't know why. It's just like the cleansing energy of the water, but like prayer works. So if you are suffering or if someone you know is suffering, I want to invite you to pray about it. And like, it doesn't even have to be to someone or to something. It's just like putting it out, like get it out of your vessel and just just say it out loud. Prayer works. And I just want to like genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank the thousands of you that prayed for us.
Our community was showing up behind the scenes, bringing meals, asking how they can help, praying. We already mentioned this, but like random Venmos from people. Like it was just yes. The community is everything. We're all in this together. And so, yeah, if someone is going through it, praying for them, sending healing energy and prayers their way, or helping in any way you can, like, is huge. Like, I don't know how we would have gotten through it without our community, but excited because, like, I think the next phase of this podcast is still going to be Sandy, like, story mode, but we're going to start to bring in the resources and the healing journey that will continue. Like, it's not like, oh, you do these 3 things, but the next steps in the healing journey and like the biggest things that helped move you through the trauma.
The last 3 episodes were like trauma, dark, like some people messaged me like, it was so triggering for me to listen, but like I got everyone was supportive, but like I know those were hard to listen to. We're about to turn a corner and it's like the hope is coming, right? And so for anyone that is in the dark right now, like I just want to end with hope and say, like, if you're in postpartum darkness, if you're going through severe depression right now, if you're battling suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations, if you feel like you're losing your mind, if you've recently been diagnosed with some mental health disorder, which I got diagnosed with all these, I don't subscribe to any of that. If your spiritual world feels like it's attacking you, like that, you are not broken. Like, it's gonna get better. There is a solution to this, and you just have to hang on and get the help that you need. Like, admit that you need help.
And that's usually the fulcrum. Like, going through it, you're at the depths, and then the night is darkest before dawn, right? And so it's that fulcrum inflection point where there's a turn, but then also you realize, yeah, you've got to be your own advocate, and like you've got to take the turn with it and see where everything goes. But that's what's coming next episode. The Bridge. Dr. Brooks, amazing place, was the vital foundational step in the healing direction to where Sandy is now doing these podcasts. Like,
I can't believe
about to go
only 10 months
drive through the mountains in the snow. It's a beautiful snowy day in Colorado with our kids, and our friend is in town, and I'm so proud of you.
Really quick, my friend Ashley gave this to me in the depths. I was like 5 weeks postpartum with Crew, and when she gave this to me, I was like, wow. It's his journal, and it has this quote on it: life is amazing, and then it's awful, and then it's amazing again. And in between the amazing and the awful, it's ordinary and mundane and routine. Breathe in the amazing, hold on through the awful, and relax and exhale during the ordinary. That's just living. Heartbreaking, soul healing, amazing, awful, ordinary life. And it's breathtakingly beautiful.
Wow.
Let's just end with that.
Yeah.
We love you guys. See you on episode 4.